Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello, I'm back.
And it's time for another daily dose of dismal Disney. We're going to talk.
Lots of doses of dismal Disney today.
We do, yeah. Today's actually a triple dose, a triple D. Three big Ds. We're going to talk, or three big Ls, rather. We're going to talk about Galaxy's Edge, the Galactic Starcruiser, and Cinema Blend. The mainstream media now coming out and saying that, yeah, we should have seen the failure of it all along.
I know. And what the reasons for it are the same things that we said since they announced it.
So this is going on a lot lately. I'm seeing a lot of these quote unquote fan magazines pivoting now and agreeing with fans. I think because the money has run out. The checks are bouncing, or they're looking at YouTube and they're like, well, these guys are sort of criticizing these companies, so I'm going to do that too.
Well, this person got to go to the opening of both Galaxy's Edge and the Starcruiser. They got their trips paid for to go see this. So it's funny, they're calling out some things, but they end with, basically, it was expensive. I couldn't afford it, but it kept the riffraff out and stuff like that. And I'm like, what the hell? Basically.
Oh my God, that's one of the biggest complaints that a lot of people have, is that Disney is basically pricing out the riffraff.
We'll get to it, but everything they're bringing up in this, it's like they should have seen this coming, and it's like, no fucking shit.
Yeah.
We all told you this was going to happen. We all said, well, at least us, when we saw this and saw the brain dead idea it was, and I said, it's LARPing, and a lot of people aren't comfortable with LARPing. No. It's going to be very limited, one and done type situation. Your audience is going to be those who feel comfortable with it. And by golly, guess what? It's LARPing. People don't like LARPing on their vacation. No shit, Sherlock.
All of the things that we said. Yeah, so God, let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
So let's talk about this, because they did have this big media preview event for the Starcruiser
and for Galaxy's Edge.
And for Galaxy's Edge.
I was supposed to get to go to that. I'm still pissed to this day.
So a lot of people think that we started the channel just to attack Disney because we used to be on their media list. Actually, we started the channel years before we did the Disney, the media stuff, right? But we were actually making videos about the declining quality of Disney while doing that for Disney. Like, we literally, and I don't think they ever found out.
When we started doing videos, guys, we were actually still working.
We were there. That's
around this stuff. You were still going to media stuff.
Yes.
We were just calling it out on the other channel.
That is why we use the cartoon avatars.
That's not why we didn't work with Disney anymore, though.
No.
That had nothing. The one had nothing to do with the other.
But yeah, so we were using the cartoon avatars because of that, and we were using the fake names because of that. And ironically enough, Celebration, we were actually at Celebration because they pulled us in for one of these things to get everybody excited about Galaxy's Edge and the Rise of Skywalker and all that stuff. Literally there with Disney while making clownfish videos talking about how Disney's screwing up.
We were always fair, though.
We were fair.
So, yeah, this one's funny. The Galaxy's Edge, first of all, you have to remember, too, they promised a bunch of stuff, and then they cut it back significantly. And that was Chapek, I'm sure, a lot of it. But they promised, like, they were going to have blaster shots going overhead, there's all this interaction.
Yeah, they really cut back.
And now that kind of ties into the whole thing that, people felt uncomfortable, because if you weren't a big Star Wars fan, it wouldn't make sense to you. But I think a lot of it was people just don't go because it feels like it's very... It's not like when you go to, you've mentioned several times, Harry Potter worlds at Universal, you find recognizable things from the movies. You're actually in those scenes. At Galaxy's Edge, other than the Falcon and a couple of recognizable ships, you're basically there to be part of making up your own story, and they're wanting people to think too damn hard.
And people, it's not the problem with Disney Star Wars, or just a lot of the expanded universe in general, is if you're not really familiar with it and it doesn't tie back directly to the Star Wars movies, it just looks like generic science fiction.
Right, it does. And the thing is, people they're like, I don't get it. It's like a Moroccan flea market with a couple, ships you might recognize.
Where's Jabba the Hutt? Where's Darth Vader? Where's Luke Skywalker?
There is a Jabba the Hutt, by the way, but they only seem to bring him out when there's Run Disney events.
Oh no, he's the, it's just a statue though.
It is, yes.
I mean, I would love to have seen an animatronic hut or something. That would
They
have
should
been
have
really
made
cool.
that part of the Starcruiser, like, you know, had a hut on board, you know, sitting in the eating area or something. It would have been cool, but no. So this article, they're talking about this month marks 5 years since they opened Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland, and they were there, and they're talking about it was supposed to be the most incredible piece of theme entertainment ever conceived, and it was the Galactic Starcruiser was the most incredible, in-depth, amazing thing ever made. Except it was too damn expensive and it was lame.
Yeah.
And it looked like Star Trek.
It looked like Star Trek. It didn't look anything like Star Wars.
So they admit they were at the preview for Galaxy's Edge early when, you know, the media was there, and how lately they're walking stuff back at the parks. They said that they did this before with Pandora, Disney World and stuff. And they tried to do like a dedicated to one IP area. They said the Galaxy's Edge is set in Batuu, a planet at the outer end of the galaxy, far away, created specifically for the theme parks, which we said back then was a bad idea.
Yes.
In addition to having a location in space, and it has location and time, it's set in between the events of The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker.
Both incredibly popular films.
Right. Which right there when you got it fucked up.
Yes.
Why would you want to double down? Okay, so the story goes, and we were the ones, thanks to our friend John, were the ones who started telling people about this. There was an Imagineer in an interview on another podcast, and most people don't listen to these podcasts. He did, that said basically they were going to make this based on original trilogy.
Yes.
Then Bob Iger got to look at the dailies over the Force Awakens, and then decided to put it all make it all their Disney Star Wars based.
Yeah, which was a huge mistake because you can see it. You can see in Galaxy's Edge that Batuu was supposed to be Tatooine. This was supposed to be Docking Bay 94, where the Falcon was.
It was supposed to be Mos Eisley.
Mos Eisley Cantina. You can see that. And I wonder if even like Doc Arndar, if that would have been originally, you know, Hammerhead or something. You know what I'm saying? Like they could have had all these animatronic aliens in the cantina, but that cost too much. And then you can see where the Rise of the Resistance is. That could have been Endor easily. That could have been Endor.
But they no. We had their massive brain fart was to put it between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and only new trilogy characters are going to be found, and that also bit them in the ass. They're trying to base it on their trilogy, and the problem is their trilogy, one, wasn't that well received, and two, you have decades of people loving original Star Wars.
Yeah.
Bad idea. So they said that also the problem here was the fact that a lot of the things they had available people didn't get, like. They had their Moroccan flea market. That the items for sale in the shops were not Star Wars branded merchandise. Originally, it started out as like toys and clothes and stuff that you would find, like, were supposed to look like they were handmade and stuff, which that didn't go over. So they had to bring in like official stuff. They said they used to greet you with bright suns, which was like saying hi in Batuu, and all that shit, which they don't do that much anymore.
No, because people are like, what does that mean? What the hell does that mean?
Docking Bay 7, they used to have Tip Yip. And we're like, what the hell's fucking Tip Yip? And other people didn't know what it was either. It's chicken.
Oh, see, I thought it was like a sexual favor.
No. So it's chicken. It's not pork.
It could be pork roast. You know, roast pork.
So people didn't know what it was, so they didn't want to say I want a Tip Yip. So they were like, you know, they had to change a bunch of stuff because no one got it. Look, you can be immersive in something and be cool, and it's really neat and exciting for fans of something. One, you have to find the balance of what actually people want, and you're going to get people to come. But it also limits you significantly for those who are not fans of the property.
You know, it would have been a no-brainer. I mean, that's the thing. Anybody that's just looking at this and wasn't as arrogant as Bob Iger would have said, the most bankable part of Star Wars is the original trilogy. It's the most universally loved. Just stick with that. And we'll be fine. You don't have to get into the prequels. I mean, you might be able to do special events where you can maybe do prequel characters, Disney Plus characters, sequel characters for special events. But the core of the land needed to be the most bankable part of Star Wars.
Well, when they had Darth Vader shop, people went nuts.
Yeah, that's what
when
they want.
When they had Mandalorian and Grogu, I guess, now show up, people liked it. So they said that they said there's still some places where you can still find people using the terminology and stuff and trying to act the parts. But for the most part, they've toned it down. And they said, I don't even blame guests for this. Not everybody's interested in LARPing on vacation.
What?
No shit. Most of us don't play pretend as adults. And even if that's something that you're interested in, when you're surrounded by others who aren't in on it, it makes it difficult.
Well, it also makes it difficult when you're in the theme park and you've got Karens and strollers and screaming kids and tourists just like pushing people out of the way. Like that's not an immersive galactic experience. That's just dealing with theme park crowds and the bullshit that you usually deal with.
Right. So I'm just like, people aren't wanting to do this. Surprise, surprise. And then Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser costs too much, but more importantly, it asks too much. Okay?
What?
So they said, now guests would be involved in a multi-day Star Wars story. It wasn't even 2 days, okay? No. It's not like they're making out like, oh, you're there for a week. Yeah. Less than 2 days, okay? That took place around them, whether they were there or not. The place you ate and slept were part of the story, and the guests were encouraged to play along. Interacted with cast members in costumes. Again, you just got done saying a lot of people don't want to LARP on vacation.
Yeah.
So you just limited your audience massively. And then you're saying, well, this is for those who really wanted to do it. And you're right. However, there's a limited number of people who are going to do that. And,
right.
and especially when it's one and done.
Yes.
They weren't doing any changes or updates to it. Same damn thing every day. I never had the full experience, but I did get to preview the Starcruiser, and I was amazed by everything I saw. It was the most impressive piece of themed entertainment I had ever seen. Well, you need to get out more. Many have said the price was the problem. Yeah, and to be sure, it was an expensive experience. The price was the reason I never went back.
$5,000. Well, yeah, you're a pop culture journalist. You don't have the money to pay for it out of pocket.
I didn't have that kind of cash. You just got done saying the price kept people out of it because you even couldn't afford it. Keep that in mind. But that was only a secondary influence of the real problem. No, cost was a big part of it, and forcing people to LARP, also a big part of it. To be clear, the price was probably exactly what it needed to be, as I believe the Galactic Starcruiser was likely the most expensive square footage to run at all of Walt Disney World. That's probably true. But the price limited the pool of guests in 2 ways. Not only did you have to be able to afford it, unlike you who admitted you can't, you had to be able to afford it and believe that the Starcruiser offer was an experience that sounded like fun. So you mean like it was limited and one and done to people? Yeah. They had to have money to afford it?
You had to spend $5,000, go to this thing. It was budget cut. They just had a couple of cosplayers. They didn't have any wow factor animatronics or anything.
Our big show was Rey and Kylo Ren.
Rey and Kylo Ren, and they had iPad games you could play.
Oh, the big video game on the screen.
A giant video game, and you could race the droids from Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, and you could do lightsaber training.
And lightsaber training.
You have your one turn, okay?
Yeah.
So, so the price had been lower. More people who wanted to have that kind of experience would have been able to do so. But also, more people who weren't as interested in playing that game would have shown up, and they would have impacted the experience negatively for everyone else.
Oh, my God.
Keep the riffraff out.
Well, I've heard this take from a lot of these journos that got, had the chance to go for free. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah. If you want to, it would have attracted more people if, yes, it did cost a little bit less, but also it was original trilogy. Original trilogy fans will pay through the nose for some crazy Star Wars stuff. Mm-hmm. They would. And if it was something that, like, if mom and dad or grandpa or whatever is the one actually paying for this trip, they're going to want Star Wars they can recognize. They're going to want Darth Vader and Leia and Luke and whatever. It's like, they're not going to go this and be like, oh, this is Star Wars. Looks like Star. Who are these people?
To be fair, I think even if they had made it original trilogy, I think it would have lasted longer.
Yes.
But I think it would have had the same fate. It was too expensive, and it was a one and done. And it was, while the idea is good in theory and practice, it's not so much. Even the Disney cruise lines, which they basically inflated this with a cruise type vacation, they still have like a Star Wars day at sea, but it's like a day. You know what I mean? Because they know people aren't going to want to be there and spend the whole trip. Yeah. Star Wars.
Yeah, but they have like Star Wars areas on a lot of the ships, but there's so much more to do on a cruise ship. Right. Plus you also get one of your days, you get to actually get off the damn ship and go outside.
Well, you get to do that too, but you have to go to Galaxy's Edge only. If they had said you can go to Galaxy's Edge and go to other parts of the park, people probably would have been more interested because then it's your day for the parks included. But like, you literally, one of the parts of the ship was an atrium because they didn't want to bother where you jiggled rocks.
I think the biggest problem with this thing, and I thought for sure, when they were closing stuff during the pandemic, I thought for sure they would cancel this project.
I bet they wish they did.
Because it was the most nonsensical thing. It's like, if you're like all the money that you spent on this hotel, you could have built a couple of rides or a regular hotel that would have,
you got more return on investment.
Yes.
So much more return on investment for that. I don't know. The whole thing's stupid, but this person's like, well, I got to go because I'm in media, and it's like, that's true. But you can sit there and say, well, if we lowered the price, it would let the riffraff in. But if they had lowered the price, people actually might have gone. It's not days. It's literally less than 2 days.
I think this is a really arrogant attitude. I can tell this guy I don't think he's been invited to many Disney things because Disney was reaching out. They were casting a wider net because of the pop culture blogs and stuff for Star Wars. But I'm like, that's a really arrogant attitude. Like you gotta understand, like I did that for years and they view you as basically an employee. They view you as a mouthpiece for them.
A family member.
Oh, a family member. Yeah. Yeah. Don't go against the family. But it's like, and look, it comes and goes. And when you're not the flavor of the month anymore, they just get rid of you and they bring in a fresh horse. That's what they do all the time. They do it all the time. They pivot there. There are a lot of people who are like, oh, I haven't been invited to a Disney thing, whatever. I'm like, it's probably because you and your audience are not the right demographic.
Well, what gets me too is like they keep comparing it to like Avatar or like you said, Harry Potter, over at Universal. Thing is, those ones can be enjoyed even if you're not a fan.
Right.
Like there's enough things there that if you're like, you can go to Avatar, and I never watched the films. Like the Pandora, the World, Avatar. I've never watched the films at all because I started watching parts of it and I was bored, so I didn't watch it. But I still like the area. It's pretty and it's enough interesting things to be part of that you don't have to be a fan of the IP. And no one's like, following you around trying to make you LARP and all this crap. And you could just go and enjoy it and leave. And things are more recognizable. And then with the Galaxy's Edge, I think they went too far in. And I appreciate some of the ideas like the handmade stuff. I thought it was cute. I can also see, as a Star Wars fan, I would have liked it, but I can see where other people would not, and it was kind of limiting yourself. But I think it looks like a Moroccan flea market, and this is what I've said since day one. I haven't changed my opinion. I thought the Starcruiser was a bad idea.
That was a horrible idea.
First thing, I said this when we heard the prices, we leaked the prices, when we heard what they were going to likely be, and they were close. Said it was a bad idea since day one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very easy fix. I think before it's all said and done, this is my personal opinion, I think before it's all said and done, they will spend the money to just reskin Galaxy's Edge and turn it into original trilogy because it would be a very easy fix.
Well, yeah, because they have the Falcon there and everything.
Yeah.
But, anyway, I mean, even they have like some of the characters like in the Millennium Falcon ride, they can switch them out. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to wrap this up.
We're going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.
Bye.